We went to Chicago and it was such a fun trip, wasn't it?
It sure was. We got to visit one of my favorite museums, or became one of my favorite museums, the IMSS Museum, which stands for International Museum of Surgical Science. 1,200 years of surgical science. Can you imagine 1,200 years ago having surgery? Today, with all the technology, it makes it seem very easy and simple and safe. 1,200 years ago, though, totally different story. It's amazing how anyone survived.
I'm Sue.
And I'm Steve.
And we're aging joyfully. Why did you want to go to that museum?
Well, I just think it's amazing that 1,200 years ago, there was surgery. And from what I understood from the museum, surgery consisted of a hammer and a pick. If you had a headache, they believed, supposedly doctors believed, that if you had a headache back in 500 AD, that what a doctor would do is hammer your head with a pick and a hammer to alleviate the pressure which caused the headache. Oh my God.
That must have given you another major headache if you lived through that.
That's right. So you didn't have a headache anymore, but I think you had some other issues.
Well, we think that surgery is safe today, but surgery is always a risk. Always. It scares me quite a bit, the thought of surgery.
So it is a risk, and there's a lot of variables that go into surgery.
I've had 8 surgeries, and I did not choose one of them. Most of them were life-saving, where I was told I didn't have a choice. I had to have this surgery, and I would not choose them. Each surgery has left a scar on my body and a mark in my body. 3 of my surgeries were related to having children. And so I have scars, and it's affected my muscle that you can't ever get that muscle in shape because of those surgeries. I did not choose those. Other than that, of course, I mean, I had my wisdom tooth out. That's not a major one. I've also had Mohs surgery for skin cancer. That's not what you consider major, but any surgery has an element of danger. Anytime you are knocked out, and you weren't knocked out for the Mohs surgery, but anytime you are under anesthesia, there's always a risk of death. So I don't take surgery lightly.
Hey, don't forget, give us a thumbs up, a like, and notification.
And subscribe.
Yes, definitely. Subscribe. Don't forget.
And watch the rest of this video to see what it's like to have surgery.
Absolutely.
I know when I was a young mother, I wanted to have plastic surgery. I just, most women do not like their body. They just don't like it. And I wanted to have plastic surgery. I seriously thought about this. And I seriously thought, do I want my children to be motherless? Or do I want them to be with a mother who just doesn't totally like her body? And I chose the second one because I didn't think the risk was worth the vanity for this plastic surgery. My surgeries were all life-saving. I had my gallbladder out, and that was emergency surgery. I was dying at that point. I had my tonsils out, and that was, I don't know if it wasn't spur of the moment emergency, but I had strep throat for 6 months that they could not get rid of. They gave me every single antibiotic, and there's a risk of taking antibiotics. They affect you too. So after I had my tonsils removed in my 30s, what did the doctor say to you?
He said they were the worst tonsils he ever saw.
So if you have strep throat, that can actually affect your heart and cause heart issues that can cause your death. So that is another life-saving surgery. Even though I didn't have it at the moment, I had strep throat for 6 months solid. I don't know why I didn't have the surgery sooner. When I look back, I know that I did choose to have it over the summer just because I didn't want the kids to miss school. My son, our son had the surgery the same day. They took my tonsils out, followed by our son having his tonsils out. And it was not a pleasant surgery. I would not choose a surgery if they didn't say it's between life and death. I would never choose a surgery. I would never take it lightly. Any surgery.
Yeah. Surgeries are not fun, and when they're necessary in a life or death situation, or in my case, when I had a car accident and both my legs were broken, that I needed the surgery and able to walk again. And so I had a good doctor from Sweden who said that we can get you to walk again. It's going to take quite a few surgeries, and it's also going to take surgeries from scraping bone from your hips and putting them on your legs to spawn bone growth along with plates and rods in your legs to help your legs heal straight and also promote bone growth. So I was awake for 5 of the surgeries where I actually watched what they were doing, mirrors. I told them I wanted to see it, and so they adjusted mirrors in the operating room so I could see the surgery and what was going on. And it was actually surreal because you're numb from, in my case, the waist down, and you're kind of, you feel like you're looking at surgery on someone else. I was knocked out for the first 2, which were very necessary to keep me alive at that point. And then I was knocked out for the 3rd surgery. But then the other ones I was awake for. I also had my wisdom teeth taken out, which was a minor surgery.
Well, we act like wisdom teeth is a minor surgery. In our day it was. We didn't get, I know in my case, we didn't get drugs beforehand. Did you have drugs beforehand, like a Valium?
Yeah.
Well, and I never had any drugs beforehand. Today, I've seen stories of young adults, young teenagers dying from wisdom teeth surgery for whatever reason, but I believe they use a lot more drugs today. I did not have any drugs before or after. They just sent me home, and I don't even think I had pain. I don't know. Of course, I only had 2, so maybe that's a major difference.
Yeah.
But that was a surgery too.
Yeah. I had 4, and so I was in the hospital at the time, still healing with my legs when I had the wisdom teeth taken out. So since I was there, they knocked me out and took all 4 of them, which was fine by me.
But I don't think most are done in hospitals today. Our children were done at dentists.
Yes.
Or maybe not dentists. What kind of doctor was that? Some specialty dentist.
Maybe it was an
endodontist?
Yeah, endodontist.
I don't remember.
I don't know.
It wasn't just the dentist, but mine were taken out by my dentist. I just was told I needed somebody to drive me home, but I did not get a Valium or anything beforehand. So those we consider mild, but again, you never know what's going to happen. Often a mild surgery turns into complications, especially if you have underlying conditions that you don't know about.
Right.
So any surgery is scary, and I would never choose a surgery. The one room I loved at the museum was a room of scientists of all eras. Hippocratic was there, which I'll show you. I have their names in the person, but I didn't necessarily put them together. It's the Hippocratic oath: do no harm. And today, some people feel doctors aren't following that anymore, of do no harm. I don't know. I know that for one of my surgeries, I actually was talked into a surgery I did not want to have. When I had my tonsils out, which were life savings, the doctor insisted he has to straighten my deviated septum, which I didn't even know I had. He pushed until I agreed to do the surgery. And Steve said after the surgery is when I began snoring. I had never snored before. And after that, other doctors have said that I don't have a straightened deviated septum. I don't know what it is at this point. I do know I've always had sinus problems my entire life. My nose is often red from sinus issues, but I did not want that surgery, and I don't see that it helped me getting that surgery.
Right. So surgery is not fun. It could be necessary, and when it's necessary, it must be done.
Necessary to save your life, not to alter something on your body I wanted to alter my body just to be better looking.
I just don't recommend surgery for vanity. When I was growing up in the 70s, there was a lot of Girls who had nose jobs had their nose straightened. And that's kind of vanity.
Very much.
Along with plastic surgery.
That's not to improve your breathing. That was vanity. And I remember those nose surgeries because I remember hearing a news story or something that they said, the news was always on. I mean, you'd think that it wasn't. The radio was always on, and there was always news on the radio. So we did have news all the time, like today, which people don't realize because the radio had news. But I remember them saying when you get a nose job, you have to have a psychological evaluation. And I was confused, and I asked my mother, why would you need a psychological evaluation to get a nose job? I didn't understand it. And she said, because some people think that when you get your nose fixed, your whole life's going to be fixed. And it's not going to be fixed. Whatever problems you had before that nose job are going to be with you after that nose job.
Right, exactly. So, surgery, I don't know, you have to really investigate if you're looking at elective surgery versus a surgery that
saves your life.
Saves your life, yeah. But this museum was just so interesting, and it was in an old house. And if you think about an old house, it is from 1917. And it was actually a mansion. Let
me just show the stairways and some of the architecture here is just so amazing. I tried to include that. There's one fireplace that was just gorgeous. So you had that to look at in addition to all the things with the surgical.
And also at the museum, there was on the first floor, after you pay your admission, there's an apothecary. And I don't know if everyone knows what an apothecary is. Time pharmacy. And the pharmacy back in those days, you didn't just get medication already compounded and put into pills or capsules. They had to make it. The pharmacists had to make the pills, had to put the combination of drugs together to come out with the drug that you're looking for. And then grind it and pound it into a pill. So there was a lot of work that went into it.
So I was always wondering, is each pill slightly different based on, because this is...
I'm sure it was.
Each pill would be slightly different dosage.
Yeah.
And that was really fascinating.
Yeah. I mean, it could be off by, a micron.
Yeah.
But still, that could make a big difference. I mean, because they had to weigh everything. And, you see some of the weights that they had for their scales. And then you went down to the smallest, minuscule grain. And that was very interesting.
So what was your favorite room or thing at the museum?
Wow, I think that all of it was. I can't really pick of one room. I liked the apothecary. I liked the statues of, Hippocratic and all of the other scientists. I don't know. I kind of liked all of them.
One room that kind of made me mad was the x-ray room, talking about the dangers of x-rays. It had a story about Thomas Edison, and his assistant had died from being overexposed to x-rays. And they've known that. Yeah, doctors don't talk about the dangers of x-rays, such as CT scans today are very dangerous. And I've had many with my surgeries, and that really concerns me because they lead to cancer. Now, I also think, okay, his assistant died, but he didn't die. So he must have known about the dangers and exposed his assistant, but not himself. I mean, it seems like he was the lead scientist, that he would have been as exposed.
You would think, but that's unfortunately not the way that it worked out.
I mean, unless there's a different impact on each person. Maybe one person can handle more exposure than the other person. I mean, we don't know, but they knew. Things we've known for well over 100 years are not common knowledge today. And that made me kind of mad.
Yeah, I mean, science has progressed a lot in a lot of ways. And, you know, I think that I know that they've known a lot about these things today that are really hurting people. But if you're ever in Chicago and you have the inclination, the IMSS Museum, International Museum of Surgical Science, is a great place to visit. And you'll see some of the rooms and some of the photos that we took, and the house itself is very interesting, as I was saying. You know, built in 1917, and it has a history with it in itself. And so, you know, all of it is very interesting.
And it was right across from Lake Michigan. And we found the tunnels to visit the lake after the museum. The first floor was small. It had the dental information. Apothecary. And I had never heard that term. I kid Steve all the time, it's a Philadelphia term, because he knows all those old terms, which I know that in Philadelphia they use more old terms because that was an older city. So I always kid him about that. I had never heard that term before.
Well, and you revisit the dentist, the history of dental surgery. That's crude in itself. When you see the way that they would have to pull teeth or fill teeth, it was, oh my God! It's like if you made it through any of this, you were definitely going to be stronger.
Well, as recently as 100 years ago. I mean, my father, most of his teeth were pulled. And we know today that the more teeth you have, the longer you're going to live. You want to keep your teeth. I worked really hard recently when I had a root canal with zero pain, and I worked hard to keep my tooth. And I really don't want to lose. I have all my original teeth, as you do too, and we want to keep our teeth. And that's why with our grandson, we are not really stressing the sugar, because we'll say we were ignorant with our kids. We didn't know. We know about soft drinks, and we didn't drink a lot of soft drinks, but we didn't know one soft drink alone was more than the day's supply of sugar.
Right. No, I just knew that in growing up, we didn't have soft drinks. My parents wouldn't spend the money for soft drinks.
Well, you had doctors. You had doctors in your family.
So that was the whole thing, was, you know, soft drinks with all the sugar in it, and then it also has high fructose corn syrup in it. I mean, all the things that can kind of hurt you.
Did it have that when we were growing up? I don't think it had.
It had sugar.
When we were growing up,
it just had large amounts of sugar and the caramel coloring.
And I actually just drank a lot of lemonade, pink lemonade, and that's loaded in sugar. And especially in the South, if you ever drink sweet tea in the South, what's that like, Steve?
Well, it's like licking a sugar bowl.
Well, sometimes the schools where I worked at, they would give you sweet tea for free. And I don't really like tea. I like hot tea with nothing in it. But that sweet tea, you take one sip and you just spit it out, because
it's too sweet.
Even when we ate sugar on a daily basis, it was too sweet. But today, without
Right.
eating sugar on a daily basis, anything is too sweet. At the hotel, they had free breakfast and drinks, and I was looking for water, and they didn't have the spouts labeled, so I poured one into my cup, and it was apple juice. So it was just a little sip, and I drank it, and I almost had to spit it out.
Yeah.
It was so sweet, I could not stand it.
Right. Since we don't consume sugar.
Well, now on vacation, we had a lot of desserts, but even at the desserts we had, that apple juice was way too sweet.
Yeah. So when you don't consume sugar for quite a while and then you have it, it's intense. Same thing with salt too. When you don't consume salt on a regular basis, then it's very intense when you do have it.
The thing about this museum, I kept thinking, these are things from whatever, 100, 200, 300 years ago. I keep thinking the things we do today.
1,200.
1,200 years ago, the things we're doing today are one day going to be in a museum. And are we doing the right things today?
Right.
Are we saving lives? Because our life expectancy has actually gone down in our country, this country, America, right?
That's right.
And, they don't attribute to surgeries, but if somebody dies and they're older and they had surgery, they would say old age or the condition, cancer. Who knows? I don't know. Could surgery? I know my grandfather actually died in surgery, and that was 1936. So my mother always told me of the dangers of surgery. So it's ironic I ended up having 8 myself because I never ever imagined having any surgeries. And we are totally healthy. We have no health conditions. I take no pills. Steve takes just one little pill. But we are healthy. We don't plan on having any surgeries. We don't want to have any surgeries. We are trying to be healthy, walking, exercising, watching our diet to stay away from doctors and surgery.
Yes. Stay away from doctors and surgery.
I mean, we may need a hip replacement or knee replacement, but of course we go into that reluctantly as well, because I've seen horror stories of if whatever they put in you isn't good, that it could hurt you more than help you.
Yeah, your body will reject it. Your immune system is going to fight back anything that is in your body. And so if your immune system is going to fight back, that's going to take some of your energy. And if you're not strong enough, that can hurt you. That can make you sick. That can kill you. So, you have to be healthy in order to have a hip replacement or something put into your body, because your immune system, your white cells, are going to attack it and double in numbers, and your chance of survival becomes very small if you can't continue to produce white blood cells and repair the damage to where your body will stop attacking whatever's put into your body. And in most cases, when you have a hip replacement, you'll take anti-rejection pills that will help you, and they could make you sick. So it's really, it's best if you're healthy when you get it, so you don't have to take anything else, and you can survive that.
Right. I wish, I don't want to blame my parents or anything, but I wish they had focused more on health. We didn't have any doctors in our family, and my parents grew up poor. So when you don't have that knowledge, I'm not blaming them, but growing up in the Depression and barely even having food to eat, of course you're not knowledgeable about the dangers of things. Although my mother did tell me surgery is dangerous. The remainder of the video will be pictures with music added, so just enjoy that. And like Steve said, if you're in Chicago, be sure to check it out. If you're thinking of surgery, you may think twice after seeing this museum. Surgery does not come without risk. I'm getting ready for a colonoscopy, and that in itself has risk because I will be going under. Yep. So that anesthesia has risks in itself, just like a dental procedure does. Yep. So
if a doctor says to you that you need surgery, research, and don't be afraid to say, "Let me get a second opinion," or Why do I need surgery?
Or what would happen if I don't have this surgery?
What's the alternative?
I mean, with my deviated septum, I told him no, I didn't want it over and over, and he pushed until he convinced me that I pretty much had to have it. And you thought, okay, he's a doctor, he knows, and I regretted that instantly. The recovery wasn't pleasant, and I didn't see any positive gains from that surgery. I didn't ask for it, I didn't know I had a deviated septum, and I didn't see anything improve after having it, and actually might have made my sleep apnea worse after having that surgery.
Right.
So if the doctor says I need surgery, I would say, what are my choices? What can I do without having it? What's going to happen if I don't have it? What are the risks? Even the colonoscopy, it's not a surgery, but there's risks of dying, being punctured, or any number of things. So respect your body. That's one thing I wish that as a society we respected our bodies more. I know I've had a lot of Mormon friends, and they do tend to respect their body more. They don't drink alcohol or caffeine, and in general, my impression is they respect it more. But I just kind of wish we were going along those lines as a society. Right?
Yep.
So watch our other Chicago videos. Until we see you again,
take it easy.